It's time to get educated. Every animation techniques explained in 12 minutes. Maybe I'll be able to, learn from this and point out like, hey, this is that mechanic in this episode. But we'll see.
What do you think of One Piece? I think it's mid.
Get the fuck up in 2024.
Before actually explaining stuff.
What?
What do you think of One Piece? I think it's mid.
Get the fuck up in 2024.
What was this video made 4 months ago? It's probably when like fucking One Piece is popping off with Wano stuff, right?
Before actually explaining stuff, first, thank you to Arakindo for the idea, so I can steal his content and
Yo, everyone likes the same thumbnail. I love it, right? This like basically put a bunch of circles and have category. It's great thumbnails.
do it for my own benefit. And second, I get that some of these aren't technically techniques, but come on guys, I'm talking to the Sagotards. It's borderline
Alright.
technique, okay? So please, dad. Impact frames occur when impact happens, like a punch.
Yes. Basically, yeah, impact frames, right? It's just black and white lines that really exaggerate the scene. Whenever this shit happens, we go crazy.
Explosion, you name it, to fully emphasize it more. It's a more stylized drawing, usually flashing for a couple of milliseconds, but sometimes animators like to draw a crazy number of impact frames. Take this cut by Vincent Chandler or this one by Shusuita. Also, animators either tend to draw them black and white or colored ones, although Yutaka Nakamura usually likes to use them differently compared to what they were meant for. He plays
That shit's so hype. Impact frames are stupid hype. My first exposure to impact frames when I actually noticed them is probably when like someone's dying from getting like yeeted by Dragon Ball Z, right? Like, I don't know. Like someone's shooting like a Dragon Ball, a Kamehameha, and then like and then everything goes black and white, and then you like fade away into the white.
the impact frames more so to make scenes, I guess, flashier, and other animators use it like this too nowadays. I mean, come on, it's Utapon. Kutsuna lightning is basically a technique of drawing lightning that moves very zigzaggy. It was created by Kenichi
There's like a specific type of animation technique for lightnings. Zigzaggy lightnings.
that moves very zigzaggy. It was
Kutsuna
created by
lightning.
Kenichi Kutsuna, as you see by the name.
That's a crazy hairstyle. He pulls it off pretty well. That's Ego. Blue Lock, Ego. That's the bowl cut. Look how smooth it is. Look how shiny and clean that fucking bang is.
As you see by the name, same thing. Very big name in the industry, has directed and animated a lot of stuff. Now, it's a more popular technique when it comes to drawing lightning, or maybe the only method of drawing lightning. A lot of Webgen animators now also use this method of animating.
Is there different types of lightning? Or is every lightning animation Kutsuna lightning?
That's why it's more common and popular now, because nowadays Webgen animators are just everywhere, even making the highlights for episodes. Smears are created by stretching and morphing the drawing. It can be used to make the movement more
Oh, this is the reason why people shit on Pain versus Naruto fight, right? Smearing, making shit go really fucking exaggerated to show like how fast or how impactful the scenes are, but then people are like, oh, look how wonky it is. They're elongated.
fluid. Not like fluid in a way like smooth, but more like to insinuate character movement, make more sense, and to convey speed. That's also a good way. Or some people can pause it and say, bad animation.
Exactly. The Pain Naruto fight, they see it and they're like, what is this frame? It's all stretched out.
There's a lot of ways that animators some people can pause it and say, bad animation. There's
I mean, Yuki was popping up 4 months ago, yeah. Yuki was popping up. Okay, got it.
There's a lot of ways that animators draw smears. Some draw it very spiky like Yutaka Nakamura, or very wobbly like Vincent Chanzard. Of course, there's a lot of other ways. In more Western shows / cartoons, they use like after images for smears. Cubic debris is, the name says it, when debris are cubes.
Yeah, basically big impact happens, then you see like blocks of like cubes show up to kind of like, I don't know, portray like how impactful the action was. I don't know.
Yep. That's it. Next one is a stylistic choice just for visual pleasurement, and maybe that's just how the animator likes to draw debris. Of course, this is a more unrealistic way of drawing debris, but who really cares? It looks cool. In a more realistic matter, you can
Like the environmental damage happening and having this cubic debris just like makes things just, I don't know, more hype. It makes it seem more epic.
draw them like chunks, big cracks, but it's anime, so you gotta give it that oomph sometimes so that it's more bombastic. I think a good example is with Hiroto Nagata that uses cubic debris quite a bit. But
Ass.
wait, isn't cubic debris the same thing as another thing? That's the next one? Well,
Utapon cubes.
not really. Utapon cubes and cubic debris aren't the same thing. To be honest, you can call Utapon cubes cubic debris, but in a technical sense, Utapon cubes are more timing dependent. There's a big emphasis
So Utapon cubes are cubic debris, but it's like a very specific type of cubic debris. Cubic debris is like the parent sub, like the super parent, and then Utapon cubes is like a subsection where it's timing dependent.
on the hold and release, where for cubic debris, it just flies around everywhere.
Okay, hold and release. Well, cubic debris is just random shit just splattering everywhere. Hold and release, like this specific example here, makes it be more organized, right? Because you're holding and then suddenly it's all coming out at the same time. Maybe Utapon cubes can have a higher potential of creating that like oomph, that like crazy epic, environmental damage scene.
Just on the hold and release, where for cubic debris, it just flies around everywhere without any sense of timing. The usage of Utapon cubes was popularized by Yutaka Nakamura. This is like the first, second, third time I already mentioned him. He drew debris like this because he believed that it was easier to draw because cubes are easy to draw with different perspectives, and he was inspired by other animators that use this type of debris. One of them being Satoru Utsunomiya. He uses this technique way back, and again, it's very popular among webgen animators. If you don't know what webgen animators mean, it's basically a quote-unquote generation of animators that draws digitally and more so got into the anime industry with a portfolio of animation.
Are these basically Twitter animators? Rather than hand drawing everything, it's just all digital animations?
And like in Twitter, they get contacted from producers. They also
Cool.
progress really fast. Now they're some of the big names in the industry, animating or directing in big name shows. Rotoscoping is basically tracing over live action footage or CG models. While sometimes people don't like the
Tracing?
usage of rotoscope because it might look a bit too uncanny and realistic, which I don't get that statement because there's animators that their work gets called rotoscoping, but it's not. Like Takashi Honda, Keisuke Kobayashi, Myon.
I genuinely could, I could never be able to tell apart what is rotoscoped and not. You're tracing IRL shit, but it's all just like fluid movements. I just, how could you distinguish it?
And a lot more. You still need talent to trace the live action footage to anime because
Okay.
the proportions are different. You're not gonna have someone like Sukuna IRL that has the same proportions.
I love this guy's content. Have you seen him? He's like a fat Asian kid that really leans into how fat he is, and he does crazy like anime, like basically he just recreates anime scenes, and he just like says all the Japanese lines too. It's fucking crazy.
Okay, I might be wrong. You still need to draw the character's hair, build in mind. There's still good examples of good usage of rotoscoping. It is still a hard process to do because you are most of the time drawing more frames for it, and it's basically to map out the movements and perspectives alone. Ufotable uses a lot of CG to map out scenes, but
Okay.
still, if you see the CG, most of the time it's very rough layout of just stick figures maybe. An example
I should ignore the CG part, so I will ignore the CG part here, said from the video creator himself.
for live action rotoscoping used a lot is Sung
CG models tracing is not rotoscoping. I was wrong, says Sinchi. Got it. Did anyone in the comments complain about it? Actually, rotoscoping is... Wait, is anyone commenting? Anyone? CG is not rotoscoping. How are you? Not a fan of how you say that you still need talent for the... No. Just trying to look for anybody just complaining about this shit. Anyways.
parts out of high school. They use a lot of them so that the fights look more fluid
Yeah.
and the choreography is better. I mean,
looks
some
cool.
work can anime as good as that, but if you don't have time to finish the work, rotoscoping can look bad. I mean, take this
Okay.
Shon Ninja Kamui. Kanada style anime
Okay.
rotoscoping can look bad. I mean, take this Shon Ninja Kamui. Kanada
What happened there? Rotoscoping, I think, is probably something that I find the hardest to distinguish, because so far, impact frames, the lightning and the smears, the debris, yeah, that makes sense to me. But rotoscoping is like tracing over IRL shit, which is just fluid movement. So I don't know. I don't know. This is probably the hardest one for me to distinguish.
Style animation is a style where there's a lesser amount of drawings with very aggressive poses and perspectives. It was created by Yoshinori Kaneda,
Less amount of drawing, but with more poses. You do more with less?
one of the most influential animator. He created this style because he wanted
Jesus Christ. Yo. Fan service back then still went fucking crazy, huh?
to do more work in a not so good of a schedule for shows. So he came up with animating scenes with lesser amount of drawings, but still
Okay.
have that flair to it, giving him more ample time to animate more stuff. But of course he animates
Just like a very clever usage of limited resources. Min-maxing right now, right? Doing the most you can with the little you have.
normally when there's more time in like movies. This style is still very popular. Animators getting inspired with this type of animation. I mean, if you're talking about style slash inspo with animators, there's Norio school animators, Yotapon inspired animators, Shinro Oihira style animators, and a lot more. The most popular examples when it comes to Kaneda style are Yoshimichi Kamada, Toshiki Sato, Kai Igarashi, etc. There's even studios that their animation philosophies is based on Kaneda style.
Gainax and Trigger only does kind of that style, or pretty much always?
Back then we had Gainax with that,
Okay.
but after a couple of Gainax staff left to make Trigger, now Trigger is the powerhouse when it comes to Kaneda style animation. Even
And Gainax is dead now, right?
studios like Sansaro, it's kind of almost
Oh, 1 second. Technical difficulty. 3, 2, 1. We're back.
animation. Even studios like Sansaro, it's kind of almost like Kaneda style. It's basically Kaneda style, but not to the
Dandadan.
extent of Trigger. And you can find some of the best
Lesser Canada style. Okay.
Kaneda style animators that solely work for the studio and sometimes do freelance work. Oh, Sinchi, this is not a technique, it's a category. Shut up. Background animation.
There's a lot of people that are really sweaty about, you know, this whole I don't know what forum that is. You call them like Sakugatard or something, but it's looking like there's like a community of people who really sweat about this stuff. So Canada style, what is it? Making the most with the little you have. Making sure that the posing, you know, makes it look more fluid. Even it's like less movement, but it's still good because of posing in really distinct ways. I don't know. Rotoscoping and kind of the style. I understand the concept. It's just like to distinguish them, I need my eyes to be trained better.
Oh, Sinchi.
Less frames, more importance of timing. Got it. Artisan note, presume, background animation.
This is not a technique, it's a category.
Okay.
Shut up. Background animation is where the animator actually draws the background. Not
Okay.
only that it's time consuming, it's very hard to do because you need to understand depth and perspectives. Usually if you see background animation, the colors are more simplified. There's two other background usage, that is Illustrator backgrounds and CG backgrounds. Sometimes the animator only animates a certain background, like the floor, and the rest is an Illustrator background. Nowadays, CG backgrounds are more and more common because of how the industry works, now giving shitty deadlines. Even if there's still
Blue Lock mentioned, yeah, most of it seems to be just all CG and backgrounds, right?
deadlines, even if there's still animators that are capable of animating large amount of background
Dude, Osama ranking, the more I think about it, bro, I didn't even know I was watching such a fucking good anime back then. One of the first series I ever reacted to on my first channel. This anime's production value, I think, was really fucking great.
are capable of animating large amount of background animation, even in a horrible schedule. But now CG backgrounds are getting better and
Yeah.
it's easier, of course.
Yeah, Dandadan has CG background. Like, sorry, this is not Dandadan, but like CG backgrounds, I think that it doesn't really turn me off.
But now CG backgrounds are getting better and it's easier, of course. Of course, there's exceptions. Itano Circus is a name where a character, he could be controlling a mecha or jet too, dodging or getting pursued by a bunch of projectiles. It could be missiles, lasers, tentacles, kinky, even chains, and more. The creator Ichiro Itano first used this style of shot in an episode of Densetsu Kyojin.
That's pretty cool. So it's like a high-speed chase, aerial chase or whatever. You're being chased by weapons, projectiles, whatever, and it's just all just following this, you know, you.
Ideon? Wait, Kyojin? Hence the
Shiki!
name Itano because the animator's name, and circus maybe because it looks like a circus. I don't know. It was popularized in 1982 with the series Super Dimension Fortress
Looks great.
Macross. While back then it's mainly used in mecha shows since there's a lot of missiles in them. Now it's seeping into other genres of anime and even in mainstream shows like JJK. Character acting is a category of animation, but shh, don't tell anyone. Character acting is characters acting.
What do you mean? Keep cooking.
It's a lesser, more appreciated thing compared to like action. I'm not talking about every time characters move. No, this is not character acting. This
Okay.
is character acting. There's more every time characters move. No, this is not character acting.
This is Hell's Paradise, I think, right?
This is character acting. There's more to it. Whether it's no, this is not character acting. This is character acting. There's
I don't know. Wait, that's different? But the second one has more movement. The first one is just character acting, trying to really present the emotions at hand with more animations, right? Because the one before, I guess, is like, you know, it's sad, right? Very limited. But the next one is very dynamic and fluidy.
acting. This is character acting. There's more to it. Whether it's facial expressions,
Okay.
movement, there's a lot of subtleness to it. Take the Umehara line in Cloverworks. Their shows are filled with
Oh, this. I think there's a lot of character acting for Tosaka Rinden in Fate Unlimited Blade Works, because what this girl does in Bocchi the Rock, this shit happens a lot for Rin. The amount of attention it goes to Rin as she's just moving around, the cameraman's just going like this and Rin's like posing like that, right? That's character acting, right?
shows are filled with amazing character acting. Even animators tend to say character acting is the hardest thing to do because you have to take in mind the characteristics of the person you're
Like our
animating.
street core,
Of
let's
course,
go.
action needs a higher bar to have in your show. There's a lot of style that animators animate character acting.
That's gotta be racist. I don't know why it's so funny. It has to be racially motivated right over here. What? Anyways.
Acting, it could be in a very fluid manner, very exaggerated,
Okay.
or even low frame count. Kagenashi
So, character acting. Portraying the emotions of characters through fluidity. Not just static like that, but like kind of really understand the emotions of the character and then the animations delivering on that.
or Zenkage is a technique meaning shadowless. It's a style where shadows are non-existent. It's mostly used either for a visual style or making things less complicated.
Shadowless.
If your characters move a lot more, it's gonna take more time for the animators to draw the lines of the shadows and the coloring department.
Oh, like the shading. I was like thinking of like the shadow being casted on the ground. The shadings, like the dark stuff. Okay, just get rid of that.
It's gonna take more time for the animators to draw the lines of the shadows and the coloring department to color those things. A very popular example is with Naruto Shippuden. The colors were very one-dimensional so that the drawing can move more. Clearly it works. Some of the most popular fights have Kagenashi. Also, there's Norio school animators take very big
Oh, look at the
inspiration
smearing
from
there.
Norio Matsumoto that disregard the overall visual quality so that the movement can be very fluid. Of course, I'm not saying it's easier technically. Shadows are there to convey depth that leads to very detailed drawings, but in
Yeah.
the Kagenashi style, you don't have shadows for that. So mostly the animators have to focus on either the line work or how they draw the characters. Ebatawa
It's seeming to me that a lot of these techniques, not all of them, but a lot of them are just created to make animating like easier. I'm not saying lazier, but like trying to do more with less. You know what I'm saying? So like even like the Kagenashi aspect, that seems like it. I mean, obviously you want to make your animation, you know, basically all the skills you have more efficient, right? Time is a limited resource. Time is probably the most important thing in trying to get shit have pumped out. So any techniques that really makes it easier, more efficient, while at the same time enhancing the story through the animation. Okay.
work or how they draw the characters. Ebata walk is a distinct style of a walk cycle. The inventor, Ryuma Ebata, a very talented animator, mostly focusing on character acting animation,
Okay.
but can do action really good too. He's also well known for being the character designer for Slime and likes to solo key animate, direct and storyboard openings / endings. He has a
Okay.
very bouncy style of character acting, so his famous Ebata walk is for the bounciness and swagginess
Bouncy, swaggy walk. There's a specific style just for the walk. I mean, yeah, this is, you know, you can feel the fucking strut here.
It's for the bounciness and swagginess
Look at that.
of the walk cycle, with very good subtle details like the hand swinging, the expression, and hair animation. He also makes the characters very angular shaped, like Kaneda style, but not really. It's in a more fluid nature, so it's easier to draw. Umakoshi eye is a structure of a cut that gives a lot of emphasis on the eye, usually consumed into the eye in the various angles. It was made by Yoshihiko Umakoshi, a veteran animator, and now he's mostly known for being the character designer in My Hero Academia. It's a quite common storyboarding technique, or it could be the animator that adds.
It's cool. I love it when it really zooms into an eye, you know, right over here.
Animator
Like, and then you see like that little laser coming off the eye, or sometimes you see like a laser, you know, tracing the eye and stuff. I love this.
that adds the Umakoshi eye. Usually it's used for when some sort of projectile, maybe like a laser, coming close.
Yo, what about this one? Front facing anime, front facing angle. Front facing angle meme. kind of like this. Is there a style for just this? I mean, this is just basically just zooming in on a character in a specific angle. You know what I mean? This is quite common too, right? It's just front-facing angle, and you do that, and that's when it's like, oh shit, something's about to go wrong. That's fisheye lens? Okay.
To a character's face, coming close.
Hey, what?
Wait a second. Or when a character is charging up a punch, then zooming into the eye.
I love
Timing is
it.
a more broader technique that animators should have a good grasp on. It's one of the most important aspects when animating, mainly to convey more impact or strikes. There's a lot of stuff it could do, either if it's in the action department or the character acting. The previous thing
It's gotta be realistic. Not everything can just move around randomly, right? When you're swinging a sword, when you're throwing a ball around, right? It's gotta be like physically, like it needs to make sense in the law of physics.
if it's in the action department or the character acting. The previous thing I discussed,
Satan.
Kaneda style, it's lesser amount of drawing, but it can still convey everything that a higher amount of frames can do. I'm talking also about when to slow down cuts or speed up cuts to maybe emphasize speed, strike, or just a better way of structuring your sequence. In animation, there's animating in ones, which is 24 FPS, 2s, which is 12 FPS, and 3s are 8 FPS.
The fuck? The more the number gets bigger, the less the FPS becomes.
I don't know if I can find an example of a sequence animated in 4s. Editor me, did you find any? Yes. Can you cut to the next part? It's the amount of frames slash drawings in a single second. Usually most of the time shows tend to animate in 2s, but when the big moments hits, animators tends to draw them in different frames. Take Nozomu Abe, he likes to animate in 1s or a mix of 1s and 2s. There's also a thing called in-betweenings. It's basically filling in the gaps left by the key animator. If you don't know the process of animating a scene, there's the storyboard, then an animator does the rough layout, key animation,
and then all the other helpers like connect the stuff, right? Like the big dude pretty much like makes like the big bulk, like the main drawings or whatnot, and then the other dudes connect those scenes, right?
slash Genga work, then in-betweening slash Doga work, and the other stuff too, like coloring and compositing. There's also notes by the key animator about the timing and spacing for the scene. In the industry now, usually most of these are by different people. It's best that these three components should be by the same person. Take Daniel Kim. Even in the worst managed production, JJK Season 2, his cuts still look amazing and fluid because those three stuff are by him. I think good and bad in-betweenings can also be a factor, because if the Dogaman is missing, like in Windbreaker, then it will look pretty choppy. Of course, animating in a higher frame count doesn't mean it can like convey speed better. No, that's why timing and a lot of other aspects are very important, like
timing, like knowing when to speed up, when to slow down. You want to really exaggerate like a hype fight scene, go super fast like in the 1s, and then 2s, right? Then you slow down when the blade's about to come to your like neck or something, and then you speed it back up or something.
Poses is important too. Obari punch is mainly a punch where it usually goes to the camera. It was invented by the
So it's like the eye, but punch instead. Rather than Umakoshi eye, it zooms in on the punch.
animator Masami Obari, and it first appeared in the anime Fight Icarus 1, Fight Ixer 1, The common movement
like
that
that.
occurs so that it can be named Obari punch is the initial pose, a pulling back of the punching arm, a thrusting
God, yo, Aqua did have a crazy punch scene like that. The Megami punch.
arm, a thrusting chest and head tilt, and finally the punch itself towards
Jesus.
the camera. There's a lot of variations of it, could be also with weapons in a rare occasion, or can be structured differently, but that's the common movements that can be labeled Obari punch. That's all of it.
Can there be like an Obari cock? Omakoshi eye. Obari punch. Sinchi cock. Just like fan service angle zooming in at like the anyways,
There's a lot of more techniques, maybe. I mean, I could milk out 15 more for part 2
Do it!
if this video does well. I try to include more of the interesting ones. Well, yes, it's good to learn some of these stuff, but some of the techniques are very simple to explain, and I don't think there's not much enjoyment.
I guess it's like common sense, right? Even like timing kind of is just common sense, right? But I think timing is actually really, really important because like you need to make things be realistic, even though you're fighting demons and using superpowers and shit like that, right? At least the movements, the physics needs to seem like it makes sense.
And to watch that. But anyways, if you guys like this video, leave a like.
I did.
If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what your thoughts about some of these techniques, whether you didn't know about them or not. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.
My takeaway from this, and here's the link to the video, guys. Please go check out Sinchi's channel. Go check him out if you haven't. Here's the link. Go check him out. The takeaway from this is like, this my favorite one. I don't know if I have a favorite one. Impact frames are really cool. Impact frames are really cool. I never really knew about the lightning stuff, but that's cool to know. The cubes, right? The debris or the Utapon cubes, the hold and release is really cool. The circus one, basically just like, you know, a trail of projectiles following somebody, and the eye, right? The eye, like a combination of impact frames and the cubes and smears and the eye, or like, you know, the punch, stuff like that really gets me hyped that when I'm watching like an action sequence. What I didn't realize is that there's a fucking mechanic for fucking walk. Like, an anime character walking is a distinct style. That blows my mind. And then some other stuff like, you know, shadowless. That's pretty cool. Character acting where it's just like, you know, what do you think this is doing? The character's acting. You're trying to really highlight their emotions and give them to life, but that's pretty cool. Hopefully I'll be able to actually memorize these and call them out when I see an anime, but probably not because I'm a monkey.